The finale is almost here. The World Cup final between Spain and Argentina taking place this Sunday. But will Messi bring home a second straight cup win?
Or will Spain be able to stun the world? It is the best defense against the best offense. And who better to talk all about that is our very own Willie P. This is a matchup that I think a lot of people had France going to the finals, right?
They did.
Oh, yeah.
They did. And I would say it would not be a stunner if Spain won this game on Sunday, mostly because I think Spain, over the balance of the tournament, have played better. They have been the best defensive team in this tournament, and they made France look incredibly pedestrian in the semifinal, which is a very, very hard thing to do. And I said afterwards, if Spain can do this to France, they could do it to anybody. And I think that Argentina goes in as kind of a more sentimental favorite. But if you're looking at the betting lines, I think many people will look at Spain and say, because of the way they've defended, because of the way they hold the ball, they've got a lot of top-to-bottom quality, whereas I think Argentina's probably got some top-end quality like Messi, Lautaro Martinez, a lot of those guys. They have a lot of great quality on their side, but I think top to bottom, Spain might be the best team when it comes to the way they've played in this tournament.
Okay, but here's the kicker.
But the other team has Messi. That's the other part of it.
That's what
they have Messi.
I was going to say, okay, you got the best defense playing right now with Spain. But if Argentina can have penalty kicks.
That guy
right there.
That guy.
If Argentina can get penalty kicks with that guy, it doesn't matter how good their defense is.
Well, the only guy gets to take one kick, so that is at least part of it.
That's true. Do you think that's how Argentina could win, though?
I don't think Argentina's going to win this game playing negative football. I really don't. I think they're going to try to do their thing. Yeah. There's a lot of, I would say, bravado that comes with playing as an Argentinian team. Lionel Scaloni is very, very pragmatic at times, but also understands what kind of quality he has. And the thing that Argentina has done well is they've kind of hung around in games and waited, I don't want to say to the last minute, but
it's felt that way.
They've gotten some fortune in some games with Egypt and Switzerland, and they've been able to stay close in games and be able to really attack when their quality shows, particularly off the bench. And I was talking about this with a friend of mine. Even though Argentina won the World Cup 4 years ago, it almost kind of feels like they have a better team this time around than they do 40 years ago, because it's a lot of the same cast of characters that are 4 years older, but also a lot of these guys who might have been maybe too young to be an impactful player are now starting to be a bigger impact player on this side of it. So there's a lot of that to come in. Also some guys who were on that team 4 years ago kind of aged out. Angel Di Maria is one of them to at least think about from that perspective. But it is a situation where Argentina, I call them cockroaches. They are not dead until they're dead.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Either way, the matchup is going to be fantastic. So as a soccer enthusiast, right, we've been lucky enough. Sorry about the temperatures. This is not what
we've been lucky enough to see the weather.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to see the weather. Ted's going to have that in a second. But we've been lucky enough to see so many great matches in North America, right? To you as an enthusiast, what has it meant to have this World Cup so close? Do you think that that's getting Americans more excited about soccer?
Well, I like that the ratings and the television interest has still been there even after the United States was out of the tournament, because you are seeing that these games are captivating the mind. I know people are kind of mad about the fact that the games have been taking place in the middle of the afternoon. A lot of that's due because of the European market. They want to see those games. But I think it's also provided an opportunity, kind of like we see a lot of times with the NCAA tournament, where people are like, at work looking at their phone saying, oh my goodness, there's a goal, or oh my goodness, there's the highlight. And people are finding ways to watch this World Cup when I don't think they've been able to do that when it's not here domestically. So I think it's brought a lot of visibility to the sport. I think it's brought a lot of excitement to the sport. And more I hear people saying, okay, well, the World Cup is over. How can I still get this? The greatest answer to that, of course, is Charlotte FC is back beginning on Wednesday.
All right, so let's flip gears. Let's talk about that. Charlotte FC just got a great, exciting French winger. You got Alan St. Maximum. First of all, it's one of the coolest names I've ever heard before. What is this addition to Charlotte going to be like going forward?
So he's a dynamic dribbler of the football. For kids out there who play the FIFA video game, you've probably used this guy as a cheat code on your game, because you have that little toggle stick where he can do all the crazy things with the feet. He's basically like an Irish dancer with the way that he plays with his feet in terms of trying to make people miss. So from that perspective, he's going to bring a lot of dynamism to Charlotte FC's left side. I think he'll stay a lot lot wider than, say, a player like Wilfried Zaha did. Zaha kind of drifted into the middle, kind of tried to occupy a lot of the same space as Pep Biel did. And I think it'll allow defenders to go outside and give more freedom to guys in the middle like Edon Toklamani and Pep Biel, and allow Charlotte FC to have a little bit more of a dynamic attack. And the great thing that he also does with his dribbling ability is he takes on defenders. He doesn't necessarily shy away from the battle. If he has 3 guys around him, he says he's going to pass. He's a team-first guy. But he says his job is not to get fouled. His job is to make people miss. And that's incredibly exciting when you think about it. Hopefully he brings a lot of excitement here to the bank coming up starting on Wednesday.
All right, so tell us about the matchup Wednesday.
We play Atlanta United, our rivals. Okay. Atlanta has had a bit of a down season so far. Although we did lose to them in the U.S. Open Cup, we had a bit of a changed squad there. So I don't necessarily feel like that match is emblematic of the way Wednesday will play out. They're trying to basically retool their defense. They've had an offense that is still not really contributed to the level that they wanted to with all the money they spent last offseason with Miguel Almiron, Manuel Latelot, and Alexei Moranchuk. They are a team that is going to come in here thinking that they have confidence, though, because they will have already played a game. They play tonight, actually, against Nashville, so they will not have had the long layoff that Charlotte FC has had, so they'll feel a little bit fortified by that. Charlotte has a rest advantage, and they'll also have the ability to bring back, of course, the U.S. men's national team center back in Tim Ream. They'll bring back all their guys healthy. I'm looking forward to this one. Should be very exciting, but I'm very excited to see Joey Chestnut. He'll be there at the game. We'll have $1 hot dogs and $5 beers. It'll be a lot of fun over at the bank on Wednesday.
That's worth it right there. I love it. That's going to be July 22nd. Again, here's the information for the World Cup games. You still have France and England playing for third place, playing for bronze. That game is tomorrow. And then, of course, the final game, the finale between Argentina and Spain is going to be on Sunday at 3 p.m. right here. Quickly before we go, Argentina or Spain? Who are you going with?
Spain.
Oh, okay. Going with Spain.
All right.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.